Okay, we are going to quickly go through uh, first part of the sugya. It is, just to remind you, on in Masechet Minachot. Mincha is a kind of grain offering, and therefore it's in Seder Kodashim. Daf Kaftet, Amud Bet. And Halacha Moshe Sinai is a phrase that we will see used in the sugya in part 2. Here's the sugya. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. This is a memra. These are amoraim. Oops. Bisha'a she'ala Moshe lamarom. At the time that Moshe went up to Marom. Marom, heavens, sky, but in this Har Sinai. Mitza'o l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He found him, God, Yoshev v'kosher tarim laotiot. He's sitting and tying kitarim, crowns, to the letters. Amar lefanav. Now Moshe is going to speak. He says before him. Right? Moshe speaks with great reverence and deference before God. Ribono shel olam. Master of the universe. Mi me'akev al yadecha. Mi me'akev, who's holding back your hand, who's stopping you. So, so we know God is tying crowns onto the letters. That tells us the letters themselves are already written, meaning the text of the Torah is done and God's still doing extra stuff. That's crucial. Moshe's question: who or what is stopping you? Moshe sees God and is confused. This is a huge moment, right? This is the giving of the Torah, right? He can't understand why there's a delay, right? God seems to be wasting time, doodling, as we said, right? This is a really important moment. No time for doodling. The text itself is complete, and Moshe knows this. Otherwise, the question doesn't make sense. Right? He sees God still writing. He knows that God's already finished the text. Now, that's really important. It's important to remember that Moshe at this point already knows the text, knows what's in the Torah. If you don't remember that, the second part of the story won't make sense. Okay. Amarlo, God's speaking now. Adam echad yesh. There's a guy, she'atid lihiot, who will be besof kama dorot, who will live many generations from now. The Akiva ben Yosef Shemo, and his name is Akiva ben Yosef. What's he going to do? Atid lidrosh. He will in the future derive, expound, interpret al kol kotes v'kotes, on every kotes, meaning thorn or tip. Tilin shahalachot, mountains and mountains of halachot. It's important to remember he's interpreting, he's doresh, al, meaning from each thorn, lots of halachot. So, if you can think of how many tips there are on letters in the Torah, and each one of them is the source of piles of halachot, you start to get an image of how much Torah Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef is going to uncover. Moshe is intrigued. Amar lefanav. Again, when God speaks, Amar lo, but when Moshe speaks, Amar lefanav. Again, Ribono shel olam, Master of the Universe, Har ehuli. You know, ro'eh means to see. Har'eh is transitive. Make me see, or show me. Okay, so har'eh, who, show him, li, to me. Amar lo chazor la'achorecha. Chazor la'achorecha. Turn la'achorecha, to your back. Turn behind you. Okay, so what's God telling us? Akiva will derive from each tip of a letter, these tilin, piles and piles and whatever of laws. Right? Now what's important here is God saying, here's this guy who's going to derive all these piles of laws, and therefore what am I doing? I am therefore adding extra tips and extra thorns, extra crowns. And that's going to tell us something very important about the relationship between what happens between God and Moshe on Mount Sinai and what Rabbi Akiva does all of those many generations later. Okay? And again, Moshe says, I want to see it. God says, turn around. Moshe is going to get his chance. And we will see part 2 coming up.